Hi guys, welcome to the Wishup podcast where we talk about startups, small businesses, entrepreneurship, and remote work. Before we get started with the episode, let me quickly tell you about Wishup. Wishup provides a remote workforce that can help you with your business, whether you're an entrepreneur, influencer, startup, or an established organization. Wishup provides only the top 1% remote workforce, such as virtual assistants, software testers, and bookkeeping assistants, who are all pre vetted and trained in house. To know more about our service, you can click the link in the description below. Now, let's enjoy the episode. For this episode, we will have with us Will Schultz, who's a digital sales and marketing coach at Impact. So, welcome to the show, Will. It's nice to have you on the show with us.
Man, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Thanks for taking the time and getting up so early and coming onto the show. It's like 7:30 a.m., so pretty early for you out there.
Yeah, it's an early one over here, but I got to listen to the last few episodes and I was really happy to be joining this one. You guys have a cool podcast here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So to start off with, could you start off by telling us a bit about yourself and your experience in the digital sales and marketing industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I came in with marketing and finance major from university and immediately started coaching companies how to leverage the power of video as a utility within their sales and marketing. And that brought me from helping videographers join sales teams so that they could start making videos with their sales teams to tee up meetings that they're really used to having. That brought me from there all the way to starting to coach CEOs and leaders of sales and marketing teams to hire marketers, position them as being as sales enablement as possible. So making them as valuable to the sales team as possible, and then coaching and training their sales teams to learn how to leverage the marketers that we help hire.
Awesome. That sounds a very interesting role. And when did you get started with this? Like how many years ago did you start off your journey in sales and marketing?
I'm 8 years, I would say, into my professional career, and I'm 4 years into coaching and training organizations like these ones. So I'm probably on my 200th company or so that I've been working with.
Wow.
Via Impact.
Wow. You don't look that old.
Yeah, I got the baby face. I did a little shaving.
That's it. Awesome. So which role do you like better? Do you like the coaching role better or working with organizations better?
I prefer coaching over everything. There's so many cliches to add in of you can't teach someone something that they already think they know. And even Tiger Woods has a coach. And so you start to get into the high ranking business professional coaching world. And there's just this wealth of knowledge of while you're teaching, you're still learning 100% of the time, just because the tier of people in that space becomes exceptional to be around.
Yeah. And also the industries are evolving so rapidly, like new technology comes in or there's some new trends coming in. So as per your experience, how do you see sales and marketing being evolved over the past few years?
I think at its core, I see more and more power going to the buyer, more and more power going to the user. As information becomes more publicly available, as things become more transparent, and there's just more information out there, the buyer starts to expect and demand more and more of that information themselves. So my personal take is, if you want to be a leader in your space, the one thing that you have to do 100% of the time is be transparent, open, and honest, and try and provide as much free information up front as you possibly can to keep up with the arms race of all of your informational competitors out there.
True. Yeah, I agree with that. So what do you think is the biggest challenge that organizations face in delivering their message or telling their truth?
That's a good question. I would say I talk to a lot of organizations that have difficulty, this sounds silly, but have difficulty understanding exactly how to talk about themselves. And usually that's because they overcomplicate it at the beginning, at least. They want to be so different from everybody else. And I think before you can go and speak to your customer, you have to think like them, which is they probably don't see you as different as you may see yourself. And they're also trying to just contrast you from all of the other options, all of the other solutions set to what could solve their problem. So I would say that's step one, is keep things simple, keep things clear, understand who your niche market is, and then drive home with those first.
Mm-hmm. So having said that, is it easier for you to work with startups as compared to established organizations?
Different set of challenges, right? I prefer working with smaller companies because there's a lot less red tape, and it's not about trying to get everyone bought in and on board. Usually people are more nimble, more ready to work quickly.
True.
And it just feels scrappy, and I prefer scrappy to bureaucratic and slow.
Yeah. I mean, in a bureaucracy, there are like so many people, so you got to get approvals and run it across different channels and all that stuff. Yeah. So what major sector do you focus on? B2B or B2C?
We mostly...
or both?
We definitely do both. I'd say maybe 75% of my clientele are B2B, and 25 are B2C.
All right. Okay, so that's interesting. Now, could you tell me the difference between the marketing strategy for a B2B and a B2C?
Yeah, I would say even separate from that, it goes, everyone's marketing strategy ends up looking quite differently. And the first question where we start is by asking the question of how does your industry buy? How do people educate themselves in your space? Because rule number one is, you as an organization is never going to change how people buy in your industry. I have that conversation with a lot of people of, they want to become extremely searchable online. They want to become the answer to people's questions. And they're realizing that their industry is still run by trade shows or referral-based marketing or handshakes and cowboys. And it's a bit of a tough realization for them to say, like, my market is not educating themselves by Googling things. They are doing drastically more relationship-oriented stuff. I think that would be a good example of where I see maybe the marketing strategy changing the most, is trying to figure out where you're meeting your market and how your market purchases.
Got it. So it's not a one size fit all. It would be totally different depending on the industry and the company and the space that they operate in.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. So in your content, you speak a lot about building trust with your customers. So Will, could you start off by telling us, why is that important? Why is it important for a company to build trust with their clients?
Why is trust important? I would argue that at its core, trust is the center of someone being willing to take money out of their pocket and give it to you, is that they trust what they're buying from you. We have a joke that there's three things that kill deals. It's a lack of trust, ambiguity, and bad personalities. And if you don't nail all three of those, particularly the first two, you're never going to be able to have a deal close. People won't know what they need, who they need it from, how much it should cost them, the timeline to get it, and what their options were. And if you can't answer those things clearly yourself, you're having a really hard time closing sales.
Makes me want to think, could you name a brand that does it really well, that builds trust?
Absolutely. I would say, at least in the United States, one of the toughest buying processes for the last 30 years was buying a used car. And that's because there were so many poor connotations with the experience. You had to go onto a car lot and see the 20 options that they had, and you felt like you had to drive around and find your options. The car salesman always felt quite sleazy, and he was making a commission based on what he ended up or she ended up
what he sells to you. Yes,
exactly. Yeah. It felt like there was no
same in India as well.
And so the quote unquote classic like sleazy car salesman was the essence of what I would say like one of the toughest industries to do this in well would be a company, CarMax, came along and injected so much trust into the used automobile industry that they completely changed the game on its head. They gave prices up front. They had each of these cars. There was no longer you in a negotiation. There was just a flat rate, best value deal you could possibly buy. And they gave you so much free education about these cars. So I would say that was a great example of an organization that completely turned what could have been a sleazy industry on its head.
Interesting. So would you say basically educating a customer is something that's the first step towards building trust with your clients?
I would say absolutely, yeah. This is another cliche in my space, but as consumers, we can all recognize this. Nobody likes to be sold to. I, in particular,
absolutely,
have a hard time with it. When I know someone's trying to sell me something, I almost want the opposite of what they want, because I don't want them to quote unquote win. Nobody likes to be sold to, but everyone loves to learn how to buy. And I think that is the paradigm shift that I like to do, is that we're not selling ourselves anymore. We're teaching someone to buy in an industry. We should be a self-selection tool for our space, the place that which we think we are the subject matter experts. And the core, like fundamental, proverbial answer to anything we give is we recognize there's not better and worse companies in the space that we play in. There's just better and worse fits for every situation that comes along. And here at Wishup, we help companies find the right fit for their solutions, whether it's with us or not. All of a sudden, that's what I'm not being sold to anymore. I'm going down a buyer's journey that acts as a self-selection tool. You feel the difference?
Yeah, true. Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree with you on that. So, I mean, I think it's there's a lot of literature on this, on what you're saying right now. There's a lot of stuff being said by different social media or marketing gurus as well. So why are businesses still failing to do that? Like, what do you think at the core is the problem?
What at the core is the problem of why businesses are failing to generate trust is a question that I could talk about for hours. It's kind of the whole reason I have a job. I would say at its core, I would say businesses believe that they're different, when in reality, we're all in the same business of generating trust. There's a lot of, we call it ostrich marketing, where you just stick your head in the sand and hope that everything's going to be okay.
This works out.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of fear maybe about being willing to talk about everything, talking about cost or pricing or your competitors in your space. Some of those things just feel so against the grain of how we've done business for so long that to go share what your whole cost breakdown would look like on your website, or at least help people know why cost becomes what it is, or to help people see what their consideration set should be of when you're considering Wishup, here's the other organizations you should be considering. All of a sudden, that makes people really cringe to say like, I don't want to talk about my competitors. But if you're being honest with yourself, you know you don't have dumb buyers, right? Your buyer's market is probably an extremely intelligent basis of people that understand how to go find the consideration sets. And so the question is, if they're not going to learn it from you, who are they going to learn it from?
I think there's a fear about just putting yourself out there and telling your truth. I could see that could, like, why brands would be a bit apprehensive for that.
Absolutely.
But I agree with you on that. Will, I found something really interesting on your website. Impact talks a lot about they ask you answer, and I think we're going in the same direction. So could you tell us a bit more about that service that you provide?
Yeah. Impact provides coaching and training services to help organizations create world-class content in their space. And space to me is just industry and location. And so we train companies to hire marketers, videographers, content writers, CRM admins to syndicate all of that content. And then we train sales teams how to utilize those people most effectively. So our engagements are typically 12 to 18 months, doing a lot of culture shifting in a company to help them hire marketers and turn those marketers into sales enablement people.
Okay. So is that the whole essence of the They Ask You Answer program?
Yeah. They Ask You Answer is obsessing over your customers' questions, providing the best answers to those questions online, and then addressing when you should be sharing that information with a buyer, making it as publicly available as you possibly can.
So I was reading a few of your success stories on the website, and it is really interesting the kind of results you guys have got, and clearly the framework works. So could you tell us a bit more about how do you guys go about achieving it, like a bit more in depth about the whole program?
Yeah. So we go about doing this by typically hiring, first off, a writer, a content marketing manager, somebody whose one job is going to be to publish sales or marketing tools 3 times a week, every single week. All they do is write content. That content is generated from the sales team by having a sales team say, what questions are you getting on your demo calls? Or what typically happens on meeting number 1? And what would happen if we give that information to somebody before meeting number 1? What would that turn meeting number 1 into? Could all of a sudden people come with better questions? Or can we start treating meeting 1 like meeting 2 from an informational perspective? And so it's typically practicing writing a good chunk of content and then practicing how to utilize that content in sales communications or publicly available on our website.
Okay. And this content is available on the website. Do you all also target customers with ads or any other stuff like that? Or is it just on the website?
Yeah. Ultimately, we help companies create 4 categories of content. And it's just the 4 portions of the buyer's journey broken down. I'll start from the bottom up, but we help companies make post-sales content that we would use after somebody's made a purchase with us. Maybe you're sending like a product onboarding guide, or maybe you provide a service and you're just bringing a new dealer on that's going to be selling your equipment. And so you have a dealer onboarding. The category is sales content, things that we use to close a sale. So this could be an email template with what to expect when working with Wishup. Piece of content that every single time before meeting number 1. The third would be website converting content, things that are available on the website that improve people's outreach to us. Performance metrics there are how do we improve the conversion rate on our website, the average time that people spend on our website, and the average number of pages that they view. We know if they spend more time on our website, they view more pages, they're more likely to purchase something else because they're more invested in the purchase. And that last category is just content that gets more people to the website. Increasing content. A way to look at that is everyone at their business should be able to articulate searches, and we could say, whoever would punch this into Google, we know we would be wanting to have a conversation with them. For you, it could be how to build a loyal remote working team from start to finish. And that could be a guide that you would say, hey, whoever's putting that into Google, we would want to be the ones having a conversation with them, because we know just from hypotheses, whoever's putting that into Google is a qualified buyer of ours. And so you can go hunt for keywords that we would say, I know whoever's Googling that is a qualified buyer of ours, and we want to earn that traffic to our website.
Yeah, absolutely. No, totally agree with you on that. So what benchmarks do you all set with? Like, how do you all assess the performance? Is it only the revenue generated, or are there other KPIs that you all set along the way?
Yeah, I'll go back through that list. So top to bottom this time, traffic generated. I care about how much traffic makes it to the website. How many unique sessions do we have to the site? Second down the list, traffic converting. I care about time spent on website, average number of pages viewed on our website, and then unique sessions to outreach. So what percentage of the people that make it to our website end up reaching out to us? Sales metrics, I care about close rates, average time to close, and then the average amount of deals that one salesperson could work. All of those things should be improving if we're making the right sales content. And then post-sales content, I care about average lifetime value of our clients. You can argue like NPS score, or the average number of time that somebody stays a client or becomes a customer. That one has to be broken down a little bit by customer type. But when I'm going and writing a new piece of content or making a video, I first say, this is when I would use it in my process, and this is the performance metric that I believe it's going to have an impact on. I think this KPI would improve if we injected a video here that walks through an agreement or something along those lines.
Interesting. And so do you have clients in specific that you deal with, or is it like a whole team effort? Do you have a team of a content writer and SEO guy and stuff like that?
Yeah, I have a team of 7 people that I do the quarterly planning sessions. So I lead people through what the next 90 days should look like, and I meet with their leadership team to give feedback on their team. And then we have specialists below me. We have a video specialist, a content writing specialist, a HubSpot and CRM specialist, sales specialist, and then last, a web team that helps companies create a website that they don't rely on anyone to keep updating that website.
Awesome. That's amazing, Will. I mean, just by speaking to you for 20 minutes, I'm sure that Impact has an amazing asset with them, and you guys are doing amazing work.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's amazing. Will, that's it for today. Thank you so much for your time. I got to learn a lot, and I'm sure our listeners and viewers must have learned a lot as well from your expertise and knowledge. So thanks once again for coming onto the show.
You got it, Crispino. Thank you for having me, man. You guys got an awesome setup going. Good luck to you.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Will.